that you've made that has some Democrats worried about your ability to win statewide. In a December 2024 Vanity Fair profile, you talked about, quote, and I'm going to read a lot of the quote just to put it in the context, quote, all the complexities within the Latino community.
Hold up. When the official Texas voting data dropped, one thing jumped out immediately. Latino voters appeared to turn away from Jasmine Crockett in noticeable numbers. And listen to this. Many commentators are saying her own words might be the reason why.
Quote that you've made that has some Democrats worried about your ability to win statewide. In a December 2024 Vanity Fair profile, you talked about, quote, and I'm going to read a lot of the quote just to put it in the context, quote, all the complexities within the Latino community. The immigration thing has always been something that has perplexed me about this community. It's basically like, I fought to get here, but I left y'all where I left y'all, and I want no more y'all to come here. If I wanted to be with y'all, I would stay with y'all, but I don't want y'all coming to my new home. It almost reminds me of what people would talk about when they would talk about kind of like slave mentality and the hate that some slaves would have for themselves. It's almost like a slave mentality that they have.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
So that you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right.
No. What do you mean? Jasmine's not going to Congress for Texas? Oh, Crockett. A girl can only dream. Listen, Jasmine, what was that one quote that you said? Let me think. Oh, yeah. We done picking cotton. You can't pay us enough to go find a plantation. Yeah, you remember that. I remember that. How could I forget? See, 6.5 million Hispanic voters in Texas, which is like the majority of the electoral vote here in the state. And you mean to tell me that you think that we're still picking cotton? Hell no, girl. Hell no. That's why you lost. You're racist.
Now here's the deal. Jasmine Crockett made comments that really offended a lot of Latino voters in Texas, and you probably saw the viral clip of that one Latina's reaction. But let's get something straight. That reaction isn't unique. A lot of Hispanic voters felt the same way. The difference? Most of them didn't make a scene. They didn't scream, cry, or snot in their cars for attention. They acted quietly, and they voted with their feet. They heard the disrespect, they saw it, and when it came time to cast their ballots, many decided either to back the other Democratic candidate, James Tallarico, or, if they leaned conservative, to vote in the Republican primary. Either way, one thing was crystal clear. Voting for Jasmine Crockett wasn't going to cut it. Here's the really interesting part. After all the pandering, showing up at black churches, black events, sitting on black stages, telling black voters we need to ignore our own issues and focus on non-citizens instead, none of it worked. You saw the campaign clips, the photos, the endless social media posts leading up to the election showing Jasmine interacting with Hispanic children. She was hugging, kissing, and showing affection to so many of them. It made you wonder, did her black supporters just disappear? Because the way she was propping up Mexican kids, her own black base seemed completely ignored. And at the end of the day, the voters she tried hardest to appeal to still turned their backs on her. Now that the numbers are in, the reaction is exactly what you'd expect. Jasmine Crockett, a member of the so-called Congressional Do-Nothing Black Caucus, failed to get meaningful support from the very voters she prioritized over her own core base. You really can't make this stuff up.
Crockett said white folks made her lose the election. Well, I went and looked at the demographic of people who actually helped you lose the election and got Mr. Tallarico elected. I'm sure you did too, Miss Jasmine. Why are you coming up here saying white folks did this to you? When you look it up, I'll attach it here. It says that Hispanic voters, majority Hispanic voters rejected you. That's what it said. And during the race, when I was watching your race and the polls, they had a little blurb right there under you and his name and said, Hispanic voters are pushing Tallarico to the top. That's what the little blurb said underneath the MSNBC live voter coverage for you, ma'am. So I just wanted to remind us, all these things pushing and baiting this crap and all this baiting this, but then just say anything. No, Hispanic voters that you know what I'm saying, Hispanic voters rejected you. Democratic Hispanic voters rejected you. Good day.
Hey, just real quick. But this to my Latino brothers and sisters that follow me on here. I'm trying to get y'all to educate me on something. I'm being dead serious. I ain't even being funny. I'm trying to let y'all educate me on it because I don't want to be viewing y'all the wrong way. So I'm trying to figure out, do y'all feel like y'all align more with black folk, or do y'all feel like y'all align more with Caucasian? Like, and the reason I say that is because when I used to hear black and brown people, and I always thought we was like jointed to the hip. Like, I always thought we was the black folk, you know, Latino, brown, you know. So I always thought we kind of shared some of the same struggles, same hardships, same, just, you know, we were similar.
Black liberals are coping and seething today over the fact that Latinos did not show up to vote for Jasmine Crockett. Black Americans, can y'all now stop saying black and brown, please? The last two elections are clear indicators that black and brown solidarity is a myth. The gag is, black Republicans always knew that this black and brown coalition was a Democrat myth. And what did we get in return? We got called all kinds of slurs just because we were trying to tell y'all that every man is for himself. There's no unity besides the unity you have between you and your family. And the funny part about this is, it's a little too late for y'all to be realizing this. Y'all already voted to replace yourselves. You niggas are cooked. And when this country becomes a Hispanic Latino majority by 2050, it's definitely gonna be no black and brown unity then. You are cooked. Congratulations. You voted yourselves out of existence. The deed is done.
You know what? Hearing her say that, it's easy to get triggered. But if you strip away the emotions and really listen to what Jasmine Crockett said, look closely and try to spot the lie. You won't find one. No lies. That's the frustrating part. But here's the kicker. It's not like there wasn't a warning. The black community just chose to ignore it at the time.
Figure out, do y'all feel like y'all align more with black folk, or do y'all feel like y'all align more with Caucasian?
The fact that Plies got on here and asked if the Latino community aligns more with black people or white people, if you got to ask that question, then the answer is no, and neither have they ever. They have never aligned with us. I don't know who started this black and brown stuff. If you look at their voting, the way they vote, right? They're always going to be more in line with a white savior. But when you have the black person that's thinking about everybody, because that's what black people always do. We thinking about everybody. We don't ever think about ourselves. Want to be thinking about everybody and advocating for everybody and speaking up for everybody. They deny it. I don't know what is up with y'all in this black and brown stuff. These people say the N-word. What's up, ma? They get a pass. When it's time to vote, they show they, you know what I'm saying? Bars. Anyway, Ply should have never have to ask this question. He knows that they don't. They never did.
So Latinos are getting blamed yet again for another politician's failures. Listen, Latinos do not exist to be a punching bag in any community, okay? I left my fuck back in 2024, okay? So go walk it off, go to therapy, but you're not gonna blame Latinos for this at all. No, we're not repeating this again. We're done.
I used to heavy with Jasmine Crockett until she said what she said about immigrants.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
Some people will say, well, you took that out of context. Well, let me fill in the context for you. She was talking about immigrants and the work that immigrants contribute to the United States. She talks about farming and she says, I know none of y'all are trying to farm. I know. And then she says, we're done picking cotton, as if it's now our turn. What do you mean they can't pay you enough? Are you saying that immigrants aren't being exploited? That they'll just accept whatever it takes? Are you saying it's okay to exploit another community as long as it's not yours? And the crazy thing is that Texas has, there are so many Latinos in Texas. How are you going to be both a Zionist and anti-immigrant? And I saw someone say that they're disappointed again in the Mexican community. And this time I was like, look, with Kamala, fair. With this, come on. And it's unfortunate because Jasmine Crockett is more educated than that. We know this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about Jasmine Crockett. Let me again preface this by saying I adored Jasmine Crockett until she made that statement, because that statement is anti-immigration or anti-immigrant. And before we dive into that, let's look at the history of her comment about cotton picking, because 200 years ago, that's exactly what the Black community was doing. And Jasmine Crockett says, no more, never again. And she was a practicing lawyer before getting into Congress, specifically for civil rights. Okay, now let's dive into what she actually said. She frames immigrants as people who do work that not everyone else is doing, work that not everyone wants to do, which is correct. But Latinos and immigrants are so much more than their labor. She's not humanizing them as people. She's calling them people who work for the American people. We're not going to be exploited again. They will be. They will do the work. And I say that as someone who had family who were working in Texas and California as farmers, and they were abused so bad they actually ended up going back to Mexico. But in Jasmine Crockett's eyes, that's okay because that's what we're here for, and her community isn't doing it anymore. Why couldn't she mention the fact that Latina women are actually going to college at a higher rate than Latino men, meaning that Latinas will be taking over a lot of corporate jobs, a lot of tech jobs, nonprofit jobs, healthcare.
Look, they're already feeding the same feminism diet that they've been feeding Black women, and I've been breaking this down for years. Did a whole deep dive on it. All women across every race attend college at higher rates than men, and yet most men still end up with higher net worths because a lot of them work in fields that don't require going tens of thousands of dollars into debt, only to make the same as someone who barely finished high school. But here's the kicker. She's basically saying some of these parents may start in the kinds of jobs Jasmine Crockett is talking about, but you better believe their kids, and really their whole family, are competing with you. Don't believe me? Go check out historic Black neighborhoods in Los Angeles County, and it's not just Southern California. Head up north, look at San Francisco, Oakland, and the old Black neighborhoods. Check out Vallejo, Hayward, and San Leandro. Go to that shopping center over on Davis Street with the Walmart and everything else. See what I'm saying? That's how they build the power to influence an election in Texas.
And again, she is a lawyer. In law school, they teach you how to use your words wisely, because the wrong phrase, the wrong word could cause your client's case. And Jasmine Crockett has truly just become another AOC, meaning she's loud about things she disagrees with, but when it comes to Congress, nothing is really done or changed. She voted against DHS funding, which, like, fine, but also bare minimum. Same with AOC, same with everyone in Congress. And she did co-sponsor a bill that allowed people to track their family members who were being deported on an airplane. But that's it. She's literally becoming an AOC. She went to the Texas Dilley Center where there were children being held to investigate what was happening. And what did she do after? No bill, no change in Congress. No, nothing. Just telling reporters that she does not support this and it's wrong. It's very AOC. It's very Bernie. Something I don't think a lot of people know is the disdain that Latinos have for the Democratic Party. Is that absolutely all of us? No, there are Republicans and then there are the vote blue no matter who people. But growing up, I heard so many Latinos, so many Mexican people basically saying that the Democratic Party has let them down way too many times. Because the reality is, politicians see Latinos as decorations, and the only time they bring us out is during election time. Do you know how many times, how many politicians promised us some way to get citizenship? Do you know the last 26 years? Do you know what actually has come out from those promises? DACA. DACA and DACA only. Now I know so many Latinos who literally opt out of voting. And I know Latinos from across the country. That's California, Texas, Michigan, Chicago, Ohio. Thing that I thought was very interesting that James Tallarico said, mind you, I'm not from Texas, but I did hear this from him. You need to treat the Latino vote like a swing state. I fear that that is something that people have figured out far too late. I think it's something important to realize or recognize before the next election comes, the next big election.
Hey, here's the thing. This whole situation was just another lesson for the boule that they refused to learn. If a candidate had made the same comments as Jasmine Crockett and offended black voters, folks will be complaining about it forever. But when Latino voters were offended, suddenly the expectation was that they would shrug it off and still vote for her just because she's black. Sorry, but if you really want to win again, you've got to face reality. Nobody votes automatically just because someone's black. And having a black woman in the race doesn't guarantee success either. It seems like every time a black woman runs, she's expected to win and overshadow every other candidate. But it doesn't work like that anymore. The problem with folks like this is they never take responsibility. They ran a poor campaign, failed to connect, and blamed everyone else. Like I said before, if Jasmine Crockett had focused on black Americans over the past 3 years and actually scored wins, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. The majority of black voters who ignore elections would have been engaged. At the end of the day, Latino voters in Texas sent a clear message without saying a word. And yes, James Tallarico, for context, has a Mexican grandmother. But here's what's really going to be interesting. Imagine a future race where a black candidate like Jasmine faces off against a proud, identified Latino candidate. The Latinos could play the same strategy, vote for their own, especially when their numbers outweigh ours, while Jasmine has been pushing policies to welcome immigrants into our communities. It's coming, mark my words. After 3 years of ignoring the base, stepping to black voters with empty rhetoric while focusing on immigrant causes, the backlash is already here. But I digress. Let's get this conversation going. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And a quick shout out to my sister, Starlet. I appreciate all your support for the channel. You can show your support too. The PayPal link is below. And if you're looking for a balanced analysis of the truth from a woman's perspective, stick around. This conversation is far from over.